Okay, that time it worked. That time it worked. Wow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the debut of a hopefully long-running new stream. It is myself, the Shadow of Hawk, who I would assume if you're on this channel, you recognize me, or if you're completely new, hello there, welcome, hi. I'm being joined by an absolutely amazing individual, allegedly, that being Nooblord, my brother. Say hello.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Copyright, you're fucked.
Categorically. In any event, so this is something that I've wanted to do for a while, where I basically wanted to, hey noob, there are things that I know a lot about and you know very little about, or a little bit about, right?
There's a lot of things I know a lot about and you know nothing about.
Exactly. So we basically just wanted to have a chat between the two of us because I think those would be vaguely entertaining to people, and some of them might be things that people can learn from, like Noob can learn about the Imperium of Man today, and then maybe next week we'll learn about poker or something, for football, sports, talking to women. There's a lot of things I don't know.
We're not gonna talk about women on here. Come on, they're scary.
Yes, yes, that's why you've repeatedly abandoned me for one.
Twice. One last
Mm,
year and one with my current girlfriend. Calm yourself.
allegedly.
Fuck off.
All right, so the stalling uh, has passed. I have tweeted this out, so now we will gain a whole single follower or a whole single viewer from this. Thank you.
Gun
Thank you
smoke!
kindly. Thank you kindly. No, he is currently ooh, that poor boy, if he has access to the internet, he's doing it wrong. Wow, we have someone here. Hello, the loners.
Is he in the camp of boot?
Possibly. I don't know specifically. We have the loners in the chat. Welcome. I don't recognize who this person is. Maybe I'm just a horrible person and I should know who this is, but I don't. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, uh, as the title of the stream may suggest, there is a general topic. There is a general idea for what we're going to be doing today, and that is discussing what is the Imperium of Man, really. Now, noob, you know a little bit about 40k, right?
Yeah, I know a good amount.
Good amount. Not as much as I do, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective.
I would say fortunately.
I have read way too many books. I've watched way too many hours of lore videos. I have played way too many Warhammer games.
I think we've played the exact same amount of Warhammer games.
No, because I've also played Battlefleet Gothic.
How do you know that? I haven't bought it.
Because you would have told me about how cool of a game it is, and I would have been like, yeah, I knew this would have been up your alley.
Well, I mean, I played Bolt Gun too.
Okay. Okay, we'll have to sit down after the stream and discuss like who's played more Warhammer games. I guess.
I have.
Allegedly. So today's topic, we're going to be discussing what is the Imperium of Man really. I've probably already said that, but I recently had the idea of, hey, this would be a good topic for a stream while reading the book Redemption Core by, wait one, as I grab the book so I can say who it's by Rob Sanders. Now, the reason why I was thinking about this is just because of how decentralized the Imperium is at times. I wanted to have a little chat with someone who knows a bit about 40k, but not enough to be unable to ask questions, because I think that would make the experience a lot better, as the chat isn't really here to be able to ask their own questions. Someone like Noob, who knows enough to pose a question, but not enough to know everything that I'll be discussing, would I think be a solid thing to have. So, I was reading this book and I was thinking, okay, hold on, I think we're in a good spot to have a conversation about what the Imperium is, because a lot of people on the internet don't seem to understand what is the Imperium, who is the Imperium, more importantly, why is the Imperium?
Why is Imperium?
Why exactly. We're on the same wavelength there. So, but to understand the who, the what, the when, and the where, and the why, we need to come up with what came before. So I'm gonna pose this question to you, Noob, first. What came before the Imperium of Man? Do you know?
A whole bunch of just individual sectors. Because it was all everything on Earth, and then there was like different tribes, and then the emperor made his first guys. I forgot their name, but he made them to basically conquer and unite the Earth. And then after he did that, he started expanding and started experimenting to replace them with the what's it called? With the Space Marines and the
The
Primarchs.
Adeptus Astartes. Yes. So what came before that? Do you know?
No, what happened?
Hmm.
What came before?
So what came before? Howdy boy, welcome to the chat. Oil up, brother. And then we talk about this. Yes. Are you oiled up, noob?
Um, always.
Concerning. Very concerning. But yes, so what came before the period known as the Old Night, which is where the Emperor came out of Terra from, or at least that's the end of the Old Night is what began the Emperor's Great Crusade, at least the Proto Great Crusade, which is what you just described. Before the Old Night, you had humanity was basically a mix of the Star Trek Federation, the Galactic Republic from Star Wars, and the Systems Alliance from Mass Effect. It was the galactic power that was spanning the galaxy that spread peace and democracy and technological enlightenment to everyone. It was an immense age of technological progress where they were doing things like making Dyson spheres, making AI that make Cortana look like an Alexa. They were splicing the human genome. They were creating black holes as weapons. Like the Baneblade Super Heavy Tank was classified as a scout vehicle in this time period. That's the kind of firepower they were dealing with.
So what happened?
Uh, well, there were a couple of different factors that got involved. First of all, the Eldar, who I'm certain you've heard of, had a bit of a whoopsie.
Yes. Yeah, they made fucking Slanesh.
They murder fucked Slanesh into existence. Yes, that is the part of the story that everyone generally understands. The Eldar fall into a state of horrible degeneracy and debauchery, and due to being a effectively entirely psychic species, this awoke because the Chaos Gods were always there. They just needed a kick in the balls to wake up. Awoke Slanesh, which the awakening of Slanesh in such a violent and aggressive manner resulted in the creation of the Eye of Terror, a warp rift into real space. Hello, Gunsmoke Malone, aka Thomas. Uh, I mean, he's
I
got a
thought you said he wasn't gonna
girlfriend.
fucking join.
I thought he wasn't. Oh, yo, hold on. We just got a sub. Thank you, Max the Reaper Nephilim, for subbing to the channel. Thank you very much, partner. But yes. So that's one of the things. This is the one that people always talk about because it's funny to rub in the Eldar's face. The next one. I'm curious. Do you know what the Men of Iron are?
Um, brief. I think we mentioned this in a bit, like a good time ago.
Okay. Do you think are you confident enough to try to explain what you think the Men of Iron were?
No.
Okay. So the Men of Iron, we don't have anything solid, at least from what I've personally read and from the lore videos I've consumed. If anyone in the chat knows more than me, please feel free to toss it in. The Men of Iron were basically the general war automata utilized by the Human Federation, or whatever it was called, before the long, or not the Long Night, excuse me, that's Game of Thrones, before the Old Night for reasons that vary. Sometimes it's the whole Skynet, we must wipe out humanity because they are a threat. Other times it's chaos, corruption. Other times it's both. The war machines of the Federation turned on humanity. And humanity, having become vaguely the Star Trek Federation, believing themselves above petty warfare, petty violence, well, they were not prepared for when all their weapons just turned against them and started firing. So the Great Federation of Humanity basically suffered its own Horus Heresy with a bit of Cortana's created tossed in. So far you've had the Eldar murder fucked Slanesh into existence. Then you had the Men of Iron, the primary weapons platforms, and the more or less governors of human civilization as they knew it, turned on humanity. Do you think there's anything else that could have possibly gone wrong?
Everything.
Two more things, to my knowledge. The next was humanity in its weak point, having barely scraped by and defeated the Men of Iron, well, like the Federation and the systems of planets and the Galactic Republic, they had made many, many, many friends. Aliens. They had their Turian buddies. They had their Krogan friends. They had their Orion and Twi'lek waifus. Yes, yes, all of these things. Well, humanity in a state of weakness, the aliens thought, hmm, it would be funny if we kicked them in the balls while they're down. And they proceeded to try and defeat humanity.
So
Humanity
basically,
being
anybody touching the United States boats, they're like, "Oh, that looks like a nice boat." Touch. Nuke.
fucking ironically, like Mexico thought
Got
they
it.
could poke the United States in the Mexican-American War. It didn't go their way.
I'm talking about
Spain.
boats.
Oh, boats. Well, was it Spain or was it Britain that was conscripting U.S. sailors for their war? It was one of those two.
Both.
Both. It was both. Okay. Okay, but yeah, so basically the aliens started, not all of them, there were some good ones, but it only takes most of them, decided to start trying to kill humans, so the humans defended themselves. Do you think that's the end of the story?
No.
No. The final piece of the puzzle was the emergence, or I would argue re-emergence, of psychers. You know what psychers are, right?
Yes, mind wizards.
Yes, mind wizards, who range in effectiveness from not having a soul and thus being undetectable by basically anything, to deleting solar systems accidentally, and everything in between.
Say that again.
Psychers range from just not existing, like you just
Yeah.
can't perceive them,
To like fucking yeah. Okay.
to wiping out solar systems.
Yeah.
And these just started kind of just appearing again. And the various
So
human
basically, you're saying it goes from Finn to Sky Killer. I mean, that's Star Killer.
basically, yeah. Yeah. Or Darth Nihilus. Darth Nihilus would also be in the running.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crimson Wolf 911. Thank you very much for being here. So they are they are yes, they are nulls, but to my understanding, they fall. So every human being falls within a psychic scale. The Pontius brought it up in his video discussing. What was it? It was Hold on, I'm gonna Google this. But the Pontius discussed the scale. So at the very bottom end of the scale are the blanks, are the nulls, the individuals who cannot be perceived. And then you go up to regular human beings where they have a presence in the warp, they have souls, but they don't really have psychic powers. Then you've got the dudes who have like sixth senses, the guys who can just find things that may have been missing, to the people who actually manifest powers, to the people who are really good at manifesting powers, all the way up to what Magnus and the Emperor can do. But
Knew that.
yeah, and I'm just quickly grabbing the where was it? It was the Catalyxis Heresy by the Pontius. I will be tossing that in the chat for you, Crimson Wolf. I do recommend it. It is a very good. The Pontius is just in general a good watch for lore. So, after all of that little cocktail occurred, humanity, well, the old night happened, where humanity became disconnected from itself. The Great Federation just collapsed, kind of like the Bronze Age collapse or the coming Petrol collapse, where certain systems of, hey, we were reliant on this place for this resource, and that place was reliant on us for this resource. And you apply this across the entirety of the galaxy. And then suddenly, between all of these factors, communication, economics, trade, warfare, all of it just fails immediately. Then you toss in the emergence of warp storms, which partially spawned from Slanesh, and then also partially because warp storms just do warp storm things, and the Great Human Federation became completely and absolutely just fragmented. And over time, as these various systems failed and the various worlds had to fend for themselves, some just got wiped out by the fact that they couldn't recover. Others got invaded by aliens or demons. Others made pacts with the aliens or demons, and then some regressed into very limited technological capabilities, all the way down to the Stone Age, or maybe down to the Victorian area, possibly pre industrial, or something like a Fallout or Mad Max post apocalypse. But there were some that maintained a level of development equivalent to modern day Earth or even more advanced than modern day Earth. Look at Macragge.
Yeah. Well, wait. What would you say? Fenrir. I know Fenrir would be low, and that's just because they wanted to go back to
Yes,
like.
Fenris. I think they're in one of those. I think they're kind of, if I remember correctly, they're kind of like Caliban, where 90% of the planet is like feral feudal, but then there's a bit of a 10% wherein they know how to make bolters and power armor and chainswords to justify, them having the industry to maintain a legion. But I haven't sat down and read a Space Wolves book myself, especially none of the Horus Heresy books. So that might be me misremembering.
Yeah, I heard Horus Heresy. They're like written as these fucking douchebag, like IA for like any organization. They're like the snitches.
Yeah, no, they're the executioners.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, no, they wiped out at least one legion, and they were sent in to do that to the Thousand Sons before Magnus just said nope.
Well, they weren't sent in by what's his name? The Emperor. They were sent in by
Horus. So they were sent in by
Hor-
the Emperor to give a summons to give a bench warrant, and then Horus said turn the body cam off, pump a mag into him, and Lehman said yep.
Okay. Was
Gotcha.
Lehman even there?
Yes, he was. He was there. It's the one time he didn't get his ass kicked when he was fighting one of his brothers.
Damn. Really did Lehman like that?
Yeah. Crimson Wolf, if you do want to start reading, yeah, just ask for some book recommendations. This one over here is not going to be requesting them from me because he doesn't like reading.
Readings for fucking asshole. I mean, for nerds.
Says the dude on a stream talking about Warhammer.
If we had face cams, you'd see me blinking twice. I'm
Yes,
blinking for
Crimson
help.
Wolf. That is the one time that Lehman won a fight, and that's when he fought the frickin' nerd. Uh, but in any event, do you have any other questions about the Old Knight or what came before the Old Knight before we begin discussing? Well, I guess we haven't really touched on the Old Knight too much. But any thoughts about what came before the Old Knight?
No, not really.
Hmm. Yeah, there's not really a lot of lore. I basically told you everything I did know.
I
Yeah.
mean, that is the point. Is yeah.
Dude, you're getting Crimson is tossing shade at you, bruh. If you don't like reading, what the fuck are you talking about Warhammer for? This shit is book nerd heaven. Uh, the answer. I'll let you explain the answer.
Gun to my fucking head.
Well, that and also he does like playing the tabletop game.
And every other thing. I just don't like reading. Well, I mean, I like reading. I just don't like reading. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, I'll read if I have to, but I don't do it for fun.
yeah. He doesn't do it recreationally.
I do it like, for example, my studies in university include a lot of reading, so that really takes the fun out of it. So I don't really want to read.
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab the books because he gave these to me after he was done with them. He offloaded these immediately after. Some of the books he had to
And I read
read.
these were all in one semester.
Yeah. So it's Herodotus, the Histories. Then he had Thucydides, the Peloponnesian War. Then Polybius, the Histories. And then I think there's one more, but I think you might still have that one.
I still have it. It's in
Okay.
my room. It's where's my bookshelf? It's the annuals.
The annals?
Yeah, the annuals, whatever. I forgot I don't know. I forgot how to
Mm,
pronounce it. But
I
then we had like four different reading assignments in between about like economy, coinage, and systems, and other some bullshit.
gotcha. Yeah.
Trade.
By the
But
by,
we had others.
Crimson forgives you.
Yeah. So when you're stuck reading all that bullshit, it's just annoying.
And then the public education system was also like this is just compounding upon the public education system
Economy.
sucking. Yeah.
Yeah.
In any event, so the Old Knight. This again is going to be relatively short, but I think is still worth touching on. What? What? Why are you cursing?
No, nothing.
Hmm. So the Old Knight. This is the period of time, is kind of like the. How do I phrase this? So you know the period of time between the fall of the Roman Empire and then the rise of Charlemagne, where it was just kind of a bunch of different tribes just squatting in ruins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what this is. You had some interstellar factions, like Macragge, for instance, was an interstellar faction. I believe Necromunda at this point either was multi-system or was building a multi-system empire at the time. This is when a lot of the oddities of humanity and a lot of the intricacies, eccentricity, Except, mm, that's a when certain parts got very eccentric with humanity. This is when you had things like abhumans begin to form, ogrins, ratlings, felinids, those sorts of things. This is when the cult mechanicus really started to fill into its own. This is when um, various worlds began to make pacts with the demonic powers, with the ruinous powers. Like no, what's the name of the no, not Stratos. Not Stratos. What's the name of the planet in the Dark Angels Descent of Angels book when the Dark Angels first fight or when Zariel first lands on a world and fights. You haven't read this book. I know you haven't.
I know
Or
that's what I'm
like
saying. Chat.
I don't know. Or the or Terra, I say in quotations from the Rise of Horus book where the Luna Wolves were loosed upon a planet where they claimed to be the homeworld of humanity, where they claimed to be led by an emperor, and their final fuck you was summoning a demon. That did not go well for anyone involved. Everyone suffered. So the Long Night, Old Night I'm going to get those two mixed up. I need to have like a timer or a counter or something. The Old Night is when these various aspects of 40K really solidified. When the different worlds began to form their identities of what became 40K. This is when Catachan became Catachan. This is when Mars became Mars. This is when Murder became Murder. This is when Fenris became Fenris. And all of
Yeah.
these different worlds became the way we know them to an extent. This is also when various alien powers, like the Lair, or the Slough, or the Rangdan, began to conquer up chunks of the former human empires. And this is why, when you had the Great Crusade occurred, they were able to encounter so many developed alien powers. And that's because there was no one really pruning them, no one really keeping them down. It became a battle royale, but they had not been able to rely on the full might of a galaxy behind them. Whereas humanity had become so reliant on interstellar trade that when the collapse came, it took them forever to get back on their footing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a beacon, there was a candle in the dark that united humanity. On Terra, a world once verdant, green and blue, now dusty and barren. A place where techno-barbarians fought over scraps on dusty dunes and high-peaked mountains and sullen moors. A man, a great man who would one day be known by the moniker of Emperor, locked himself away in secret laboratories in the Himalayas, where he crafted the mightiest warriors up till then ever seen. These were the Thunder Warriors, the precursors to the Adeptus Astartes.
Wow.
Yeah, the Thunder Warriors were absolutely a prototype of the Astartes, and arguably what ends up their usage and what ends up happening to them really sets up what the Emperor's goal really was with humanity. Because Thunder Warriors arguably are a more efficient weapons platform than Space Marines.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, for one, to my understanding, the requirements to make a Thunder Warrior are significantly less strict than the requirements to make an Astartes. In the case of an Astartes, you need a genetically pure, physically fit male from very specific genetic lineages to undergo very specific training regimens for a long period of time. It is very stringent on what you use, especially when compounding the value of gene seed. A Thunder Warrior, in contrast, again, to my understanding, is significantly cheaper due to not requiring gene seed. And also, the requirements to become a Thunder Warrior are significantly less strict. You don't need to be as genetically pure, you don't need to be as genetically fit, or at least you still need to be fit, but not to the same degree. Hmm, think Army Rangers compared to Navy SEALs.
Got it.
Yeah, that's not bashing Rangers, by the way. That's just, that's the best comparison I could think of. Rangers are awesome. There were two primary drawbacks to the Thunder Warriors, however. The first one, like Crimson mentions, they don't last as long. They get 100, maybe 200 extra years on the human lifespan, but that's about it. And they would be getting older and frailer throughout that time. Whereas in Astartes, they don't really technically age, or at the very least, we haven't seen one live long enough to really age. The other primary issue with a Thunder Warrior is that they're too human. Their psyche is. Well, it can't really handle the rigors of being a Thunder Warrior. They become psychopathic monsters. They become incapable of, well, serving the role as defenders of humanity. They just kind of exist to kill and slaughter. Which, on one hand, you want those when you're trying to just conquer and destroy. But that's not what the Emperor wanted. At least, not what he wanted to get to. So he took the flaws of the Thunder Warriors, identified them, and figured out countermeasures. And that's when he made the Astartes. Astartes are at the end point. On average, they are weaker, they are slower, and they are smaller. But they live for longer, and they are comparatively more emotionally stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I mean, by our modern standards, they are still psychopathic monsters. But compared to the Thunder Warriors, I mean, you gotta be a Marine's Malevolent or a Minotaur to get your jollies off killing innocent civilians.
I mean, or you could just be a Night Lord.
I'm talking about the Loyalists. The Night Lords were fucking weird to begin with. But yes, so the Emperor sundered the various tribes of Earth, the various techno-barbarians. Then he went to Mars and he forced the Martian lords to bend the knee. He broke the geneticists on Luna, he shattered the other empires that had popped up on the worlds in the Sol system, and he began his Great Crusade. After, of course, after the tragic and horrific loss on Mount Ararat, when the Thunder Warriors bravely and greatly eliminated the last unknown enemy of humanity. Just don't ask the First Legion nor the Custodes about their weapons requisitions around that time. The Emperor knew he was going to need his Astartes. He had begun the prototypes, which were the First Legion, and he had also created his Primarchs, with the help of One of the most interesting additions to Warhammer canon that I only include as valid because I love the hilarity of the situation involving her.
What?
So you know how originally the Emperor alone made the 20 Primarchs? Or the 21 Primarchs, counting Omegon?
Yeah.
This time around, GW decided in the Horus Heresy to give him a wife who helped him. Erda.
What happened to said wife?
Do you want to know her? Well, that's a really funny story that I'll discuss during the Horus Heresy part of this discussion. Do you want to know what her biggest contribution to Warhammer canon is?
Hmm.
So you know how in the old days the lore was that the four Chaos Gods came together to stop the Emperor by scattering his sons across the galaxy?
Yeah.
What if I were to tell you that Erda looked at the Emperor's plans and thought, I don't want him to do this to my sons, so she reaches out to the literal space demons and handed them over to them so that the Emperor
Interesting.
wouldn't get to use them? Yeah.
So, what's the message that they're trying to send? Well, we're gonna
Hey,
talk about this later.
I
Yeah.
don't know. This is, I mean, if the Emperor had been a father figure in the life of his children, he would have been able to rein in some of their more negative urges. He would have been able to control them better, but, him being separated from his kids is really what resulted in the Horus Heresy. I don't know what they're trying to imply with that.
Yeah. So therefore, his wife is the reason why the Horus Heresy happened. So that
Well,
means the
no,
Horus
no.
were then.
The Chaos Gods are still the reason why it happened. The Emperor sucking at basic communication is why it happened. But it is still kind of funny that they took the time to introduce this character, and she played a like you could argue that it would not have happened without her. We already have a dislike. We already have a dislike over this. I love this. And so began the greatest Easter egg hunt in the history of the universe. Categorically, Crimson. Categorically. And this leads us into the Great
By the way, I
Crusade.
have no affiliation with this guy. I'm here because I have a bullet to the. I have a gun to the back of my head. I didn't say any of these things.
Sir, I bought you a fucking pepperoni pizza.
No, the fuck you didn't. You said I was getting
I'm.
a kobold,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm compensating you with a kobold on the Monday stream. That is correct. Mm, yes.
and I need that motherfucking kobold.
You will get the kobold at some point.
I better for your safety and for mine.
Mm. Hold on. I'm just gonna let the I'm gonna see if the dislikes build up over this because that is I find that absolutely hysterical. Oh dang it! There's the holy crap! The stream's at
What?
112 views.
What the fuck? It's
What? I think
you're
that's I
welcome.
think I think that's my highest viewed stream. I think this is the highest viewed stream.
Live. All right,
We
back
have
to the fucking thing.
yes, yes, back
Back to
back to topic. Back to topic.
because they're
Oh,
here to listen to us, not us fucking
yes, that
saying
is correct.
shit.
I apologize. I am Blue Lantern, welcome to the chat. The Emperor literally looked at the rest of the universe and said, "Nah, I can do it better." And he was right. What are your thoughts on Blue Lantern?
Blue Lantern seems like a very nice individual,
A very
very interesting.
well-spoken, eloquent individual, I might add.
I would agree. So yeah,
Yes. So then
indeed.
began the Great Crusade, which had
Oh,
the hmm, unfortunate caveat of serving as a primarily, as Crimson phrased it, an Easter egg hunt to track down the 2021 2018 Primarchs. Sorry, I had a frog in the throat. To scour the galaxy and find them and reunite them with their legions.
so wait, what what happened to said wife that did he get rid of her? What did he do to her for taking his sons away?
Surprisingly, she didn't get killed by him. I guess she won the divorce proceeding. You know
So
Erebus?
she's her children off basically into slavery to the Chaos Gods.
No, no, no. Only some of them. Others got sold into slavery to aliens.
Interesting.
Angron got nails impaled into his head.
Yeah, Angron, different story. Angron has daddy issues. We all know
No,
this.
No, 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 no. Angron has abandonment issues, dude. That video I did on him a while back, like, dude just needed a fucking hug. He just needed a hug and a cookie. Unironically, yes. Also, I did not ignore your comments. Blue Lantern, yeah. Apparently, the algorithm likes this time slot. This is a good time slot, apparently, because Crimson also said this that we apparently just popped up into their feeds. And don't worry, Blue Lantern. Good people play Tyranids. I play Tyranids. And Gene Stealer Cult.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're
You win
interesting.
all the fights. The dice love you.
Yeah, it really sucks to be fucking.
And then you get mad. And then you get mad when I start rolling hot.
I don't get mad. I get upset. But back to the conversation.
Back to the conversation. Yes, what so aside from what I've discussed, that the Great Crusade happened, and that it started off ineffectual because it had to be a scavenger hunt first, what do you largely know about the Great Crusade?
Um, I know that it's slowly but surely ramped up. Like they started slow, and then once they started getting the Primarchs, it ramped up.
Yes. It also ramped up as they started resecuring key worlds. Various systems like Necromunda, which had maintained certain levels of manufacturing capability, or when they reunited with various Adeptus Mechanicus worlds, or worlds that would join the Adeptus Mechanicus. Um, when they started encountering night worlds and could requisition the warrior nobility of such worlds who came to battle mounted upon war mech. That was a I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was horrible if that went through the mic. Um, war astride war mechs when they encountered various worlds of specialized combat fighters of general human scale. Um, to my knowledge, none of these survived the Horus Heresy, but think like in the 40k context, think of Krieg, think of Katakan, think of Valhalla, that kind of
Uh,
period, as well as the redevelopment of industry on Terra and Mars itself. So, yes, it was in one part the rediscovery of the Primarchs that allowed the legions to do what they needed to do, but it was also the rediscovery and the development of key industry. And this is the
nobody needs
part where
industry sticks.
what was it?
Nobody said nobody ever needed industry. Can't speak. Needed logistics or industry. That's for losers.
Mm.
Only losers need that.
Tell that to Rommel. Poor sad Rommel. If he had better logistics, he would have crushed the British. Tell that to Napoleon.
If
If he had
if
handled his
Pat had
logistics
better
better.
logistics, he would have took Germany over faster.
Bro, if Patton had better logistics, he would have driven all the way to Moscow before the communists had the chance to kill him.
Why'd you say that?
Hey, listen. I could have said something way
Back to
worse.
Warhammer before we go on a different
No,
watch
back to
list.
the chat, then the Warhammer. Crimson Wolf. Emps gets a lot of ships, flies off to find the boys, finds them all after a while, retakes a crap ton of worlds along the way. Yes. Astro. He has a question for you, noob, as the resident Horus lover. Y'all think Horus had a foot fetish?
No,
Astro, you retort. Stark mad. Horus wasn't the first to be found, it was Alpharius. Hmm. I feel like there's a joke
I am
there.
a artist.
Hmm. Okay. Noob is Alpharius. Confirmed. Can't drive Crimson Wolf. Can't drive a tank if you got no gas. Can't shoot a gun. Wait, what? Oh, I think he deleted that comment. Oh, okay, no, he reposted it, I guess. Can't drive a tank if you got no gas. Can't shoot a gun if you got no bullets. I mean, but you can beat a
Said
man to death with a stick.
exactly.
Hmm. Blue Lantern. No, Horus was way into eye gazing. And there are no eyes on feet. Yes, no, Horus is not Lum Lum. Astro. Nah, he was a heretic. All heretics love feet. Heretics. As the
That's not
resident
true.
chaos, as the resident Chaos Space Marine player, noob, your thoughts on this
I don't
libelous
like
claim?
feet whatsoever. Feet actually disgust me.
Mm. It is confirmed. Feet discuss the heretics. Loyalists are the true foot fetishists.
Yes.
Back to the Great Crusade. So, do you have any like specific questions about the Great Crusade? Anything you want to discuss further with it? Because there is honestly a lot of really cool stuff about the Great Crusade.
Um, I knew the first Legion were the Dark Angels.
Yes.
I also knew first Primarch was the. Oh, no, it was Horus. That's why he became War Master.
Yes, that's why he was the favored son because he found Horus actually
He had
really
the most
freaking
daddy
early.
time.
Yeah, no, he
Probably earlier
unironically.
than didn't he find it earlier than Chaos thought he would?
I don't know if it was earlier than Chaos thought he would, but he found Horus early enough to where he hadn't had the chance to even try to conquer his world, to my understanding or to my memory, where he basically found it in the equivalent of a Primarch's teenage years. So the Primarchs, they age fast. They go from child, which is still like Ender Wiggins smart, to 20-foot tall demigod with the mind of a supercomputer at like 5 or 6 years old. And he found
Yeah.
Horus fairly early into that stage and was actually able to more or less raise him how he wanted to raise the other Primarchs.
Yeah. And then there's Lehman Russ.
Ah, Russ.
The absolute actual frozen ice Tarzan.
Yes, he is the Worf of Warhammer's Horus Heresy. He got beat by the lion. He got beat by Angron. He got who's the other one that kicked his ass? Because there were three that kicked his ass pretty damn hard. Lion, Angron. I could have sworn there was a third one that kicked his ass. I'm blanking on it now. But yeah, no, he beat up Magnus though. Yeah,
Well, I would hope you'd beat up Magnus.
yeah, Magnus is a bookworm. Blue Lantern. The alien horrors that had been dominating the galaxy for the last several millennia suddenly encountering an overwhelming and well-ordered human force and breaking their dominion. I like this because the Imperium was almost universally a liberating force in that regard. Yes, okay, this is one of those things that a lot of people don't like to talk about in the Great Crusade, and this is a point that I do want to bring up. That's kind of in the Imperium's favor is the fact that objectively the Great Crusade was a moral good, even when you're not talking about putting down the Lair or the Megarachnids or the Rangdan or the Slough or the other alien races. Even the basic humans who were just like, hey, leave us on our worlds. Leave us alone. Let us be in peace. They were freaking monsters as they were evil. Like they were doing some evil shit. Because many of them intentionally, like unintentionally or intentionally, were servants of the Chaos Gods, and that's how they actually managed to survive. Like Terra, for instance. Again, like they made deals with the demons. Made deals with the demons. And then okay, you know what? I'm just gonna feel free to yell at me. Feel free to call me a fake fan for having to check this. My brain is scrambled. I'm pulling up the wiki. Okay, Serosh. On Serosh, where the first Legion went, I believe it was it the fourth or the 5th Expeditionary Fleet. I can't remember which, but the First Legion was at Serosh, a world which had managed to survive the Long Night or the Old Night by making a deal with some kind of warp entities, which presumably through human sacrifice, which is heavily hinted at in the book, managed to ride out the worst times and continued to appease these spirits with human sacrifice. What's the hint at human sacrifice? The fact that the planet has several million fewer people than it should. They've killed millions of people in the service of the ruinous powers. The Emperor did nothing wrong.
Never.
The Emperor, unironically, the Emperor did nothing wrong. The Great Crusade was a moral good. It reunited humanity so it could better fight back against the terrors in the dark, like the Lair, like the Slough, like the Rangdan, and it also purified humanity of the people that were killing themselves in the name of evil emotion parasites. It was a moral good. Did, some innocent people get caught in the crossfires? Probably. Did the Night Lords
Yeah.
really need to skin all those people? Maybe not. But we're making the mother of all omelets, Jack. Can't fret over every egg. And yeah. So anything else about the horror? Anything else about the Great Crusade that you want to bring up?
No, not really.
Stark Mad, I concur. Yeah. Is there anything else that I would want to talk about? Chat, feel free to toss any questions or comments about it, like Blue Lantern and Crimson, and I believe uh where was Astro? No, not Astro. Yeah, it was Blue Lantern and Crimson mostly talking, and Stark Med, Great Crusade Imperium was peak Imperium. Imperium? I mean, yes, unironically it was. That was, Rome at its height with the okay, that's another really, really good comparison I'd like to make. The Great Crusade humanity, or the Great Crusade Imperium, was the Roman Empire an equivalent. Rapidly expanding, spreading civilization, uniting humanity under one banner, getting rid of old, unnecessary, superstitious customs, building the roadways that would define all of future history in the regions. Like, the Great Crusade Imperium was the Roman Empire. 40K's Imperium is the Byzantine Empire. Always on the back foot, rediscovering ancient knowledge and lost ideas and repurposing them to the future days. Having to slowly lose territory to rising powers like the Tau, like the various Gene Stealer cult regions, having to fight off ancient threats that they had thought were defeated, the Necrons basically being the Persians in this angle, etc., etc. Uh, Always gumshoe on your tail. I don't know making the Primarchs is the primary reason the Crusade fail, more and more to the point making Primarchs out of warp gods. Um, well, the Great Crusade arguably didn't fail. It reunited the vast majority of humanity. The Imperium failing, and Noob, feel free to toss in if you have your own thoughts on this. The Imperium failing was again more on chaos. Like, it was absolutely on chaos getting into the heads of the different Primarchs on their various worlds. Like, a lot of the Primarchs wouldn't have even gone traitor if their head, like Perturabo would not have gone traitor if the Chaos Gods didn't get into his head and fuck with him. Uh Frickin' Kurz, same story. If the Chaos Gods didn't get into his head and fuck with him at a young age, he would not have done what he did. Horus Lupercal was a good boy until he got shoved into a shaman hut and shown visions of the future by the Chaos Gods, of the future they wanted him to make. So, yeah, no, if it wasn't for the Chaos Gods, humanity would have been in a far better space. Noob, any thoughts on that?
Um, it sounds like you're dissing my Chaos Boys. I don't like it, but I also agree with it.
So, uh, you. I'm out of line, but I'm correct.
Yes, you're hella out of line, but somewhat correct.
Yes. Always Gumshoe's point to powering the warp with Primarch seems like a failing idea. Yes, that is all. The imperial truth was never really going to work. Humanity does require something to believe in. Noob, you know what the imperial truth compared to the imperial creed is, correct?
Give me a refresher.
This is actually a very fascinating little change. So the imperial truth, the goal behind it was to effectively inoculate humanity from the dangers of chaos. Basically, hey, it's basically super atheism. We only believe super atheism meets nihilism. The might of humanity needs to be believed in. All other things are fake or easily fabricated. The imperial creed, funnily enough, was written by Logar, which centers around the divine protective nature and spiritual power of the Emperor, basically serving as a shield against the threats of the Immaterium. The Imperial Truth was made as a way of starving the things that go bump in the night, of starving out chaos, eventually with the goal of them dying out. The problem with that is it left very little room for a defense. It was entirely reliant on the tiger ignoring you. And unfortunately, tigers don't like being ignored. So the Chaos Gods acted in their self defense. So that is ultimately one of the greatest failures of the Emperor. The Imperial Creed, however, acknowledges the nature of divinity, acknowledges the existence of things outside of human control, and provides a protective barrier in the form of faith to the Emperor as a shield against the things in the dark. And this does work. No,
Bullshit.
no, 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 no. We're streaming. We're streaming.
Leave.
We're
Get out of
streaming.
here.
We're
Go.
streaming.
Leave.
Hop up.
Hello,
We're
bye.
streaming. We're
Faggot
streaming.
black.
We're
Get out.
streaming.
Get out.
We're
Wee,
streaming.
wee, wee.
We're streaming.
Who
I
was
do
that playing?
apologize. Oh fuck.
I'm gonna say the word.
No.
Okay, stream. Wait one as we make a private fucking call.
Nope, bye.
Stop. Just.
I'm keeping that
Just
in.
mute everyone. Stop. Stop. Just mute everybody in this DC. That's gonna take
No,
too long.
I'm just making a private fucking channel for you and me right now. I should have done this before the stream happened. I'm gonna have to
Like,
edit that out too. I'm gonna have to fucking edit
God,
that out.
fuck. I thought it was gonna be someone like bad, and then it was someone bad.
All right, I'm hopping over to the private chat I just made for us.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm hopping over
that's
too.
a text channel. That's a text channel. That's not the right thing. I technical difficulties, folks. All right, and I need to make a private channel. Only myself and Noob. Only myself and Noob. There we go. All right, hop over to that one. Okay.
Now we back to business.
Yes. Yes, Blue Lantern. He was gonna say Night Lord.
What do you think you'd say? Hmm?
Yes,
What other
absolutely,
what would you say?
absolutely. Um, but yes. So the Imperial Creed defends humanity against the dangers, which we know this is true because various individuals have had faith preserve them from being devoured by demons after their deaths, and have also protected them from the dangers of chaos. The Sisters of Battle, for instance, are actually able to fight evil better than the Space Marines at some time due to their absolute faith in the Emperor. Um, yeah. Blue Lantern, what's your take on the Rangdan? Do you think the two lost legions died there? Absolutely. Now, this is not a theory
What
I
lost?
came up. What? Oh, yes, the second and the 11th.
No, there's nothing. There's nothing there. What are you talking about?
Yes, there is nothing there.
Was
The
nothing.
old
There is nothing.
Yes, there is nothing. Yes, the Ultramarines just magically increased to a 3 legion sized formation randomly out of nowhere. There was no Rangdan Xenocide.
There's nothing. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yes. To answer your question, Blue Lantern, as I mentioned earlier, about the was it the Calixus, the heresy that I mentioned earlier. I do recommend the Pontius. He made a video. It's actually his first video on his channel on the Rangden Genocide. That's where I learned about the Rangden, as well as a chunk of the information about the 2nd and 11th Legions. Very solid channel. Very, very solid channel. For the people hopping in, just want to clarify, I am not a lore expert. I don't own stacks and stacks and stacks of codexes. I've got maybe
Bullshit.
I've got maybe a shelf and a half of Warhammer books, including my Warhammer fantasy stuff. I've listened to lore videos. I've discussed in VCs. I don't have a doctorate. I don't have a PhD. I have a community college bachelor.
That's actually kind of fucking funny.
It's the truth. It is the truth. I can recommend better channels than myself on most topics, and if there is something that I know, I will talk on it as best I can. You have been warned. And then Noob, he's got his GED.
Fuck you.
Yes, Xernos was an interloper. uh, I thought Gumshoe. I thought it was people not knowing about chaos that kept them weak. That is the reason the Emperor never told anyone. So that was the long-term plan. However, believing in chaos and believing in the things that feed chaos are effectively the same thing. If you believe in might makes right, even if it's not corn, even if it's not to corn, if you believe in might makes right, some level of that emotion is going to feed corn to some capacity. The level of it changes. If it's just the general, I believe in Darwinism, that's only going to be, I believe in Darwinism, ergo I'm going to kill those people over there. That's going to be like a dry scoop of guacamole gamer fart, right? It's not really going to do a lot, but it's something. Whereas if you scream blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, as you burn a planet, Korn is going to be getting a freaking ribeye steak off of that. So when you multiply that Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000 by a population of several quadrillion souls, that's enough Guacamole Gamer Fart dry scooped to keep Korn alive. That effectively is a few steaks. So the Emperor's plan of starving them would have needed generations to work. And the Chaos Gods knew what he was doing, and they planned contingencies to stop him. Basically, Erda fucked everything up. Hendrik, hand jobs in private chat, boys.
No offense to
Um,
women.
no, that's not in the budget currently. That's not in the
What?
budget. Hand jobs in private. Blue Lantern, sign me up. Sign you up for what? We said a lot of things. I need more specifics. Erebus, or Starkmad. Erebus is the main character of the Horus Heresy, if you really think about it. He is out of line, but he is right. Like, unironically. Hendrik, you need a referral. XG0R is brown. Oh, you want the hand jobs. Gotcha, Blue Lantern. XG0R is brown. I don't know what that's a reference to. Do you know?
No, I don't know what the fucking reference.
Yes, we are both currently confused, confuddled, bamboozled. In
A
any event,
fraud.
defraud. Disagree. Erebus is the antagonist. Well, you can be the antagonist and be the main character. You know, that is entirely possible. I mean, look at Soldier Boy from The Boys. He was an antagonist, and he was objectively the main character of season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna get us at least 2 dislikes.
I mean, Soldier Boy wasn't really that big guy. Like, he was really fly. I'm a guy. Catch him a city and a go lie. Or however the song went.
Oh, Dr. Doom poses a question. What's one of your favorite Space Marine chapters? His are the Raptors. Raptors are cool. The Raptors are tactical. They're nice.
Space Wolves or the Sharks?
Space Wolves or the Sharks. The Kakaradons Astronovis.
Like, you can't tell me that a fucking almost Primarch level height dude with a fucking giant ass axe isn't fucking dope as shit.
Are you talking about Tyberos or are you talking about Loga and Grimnar?
They're chapter master.
Which one? Space
They're
Wolves
but
or the
Char
Cardons? Volca
Cardons.
Famanica. Ah, yes. So he doesn't use an axe. He uses lightning claws.
Same thing. Oh wait, my fault. His lightning claws are just that fucking big. Never mind. I forgot.
Yeah. No,
My
he. Oh, do you want to know what's even scarier?
He gets 4 attacks. I mean, he gets
No, no,
six
no.
attacks.
Most of the art of Tyberos was him before he went through the Primaris Rubicon, and then it is canon that he went through the Primaris Rubicon, which made him a Primaris, which are bigger than normal Astartes.
So bro's basically fucking Primarch height.
Bro walks into a room with Gilliman and the lion, and for a second they think one of their brothers came back.
Yeah.
Tyberos is a monster, dude. Just hearing about what those chucklefucks did in Badab is one of the best parts of the Arch series he did on them. He did on that war. Um, for me, answering your question, fanboy, if I'm picking one of the first founding chapters, Dark Angels. I love the Dark Angels. They are amazing. If we are exempting the first founding, I I have three. Technically two if we don't count the Dawn of War franchises. The Blood Ravens, because Gabriel Angelos is top G. The Soul Drinkers, because I have a special little place in my heart for those lovely bastards. And then the controversial choice, the Marines Malevolent. They're just silly little
Really?
guys. The Marines Malevolent are just silly little guys, okay? They they do their best.
That's gonna get us a flagrant too.
Hey, listen, at least I'm not talking about the Firehawks or the Minotaurs, all right? Those like people don't like the Marines Malevolent because they shot at some civilians and bullied the salamanders. Like, okay, cool. The Minotaurs and the Firehawks, what those chucklefucks did to the Lamenters, no. No, I would get our channel nuked if I liked those two guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh Dude, even Erebus looks at the Firehawks and the Minotaurs and goes, "You guys need to chill." But yes, I hope that answered your question, Dr. Doom. And chat, feel free to toss in your favorite Space Marine chapters. You know, get us all sharing. So, Great Crusade. Anything else about the
I
Great
didn't
Crusade?
realize the background till now.
Yes, do you like it?
No, I love it.
You know what movie that's from, right?
Yes, I know what fucking movie that's from.
Dude, Dad and I were sitting down watching that, and he's like, "This is just you two fuckers." It's not wrong.
Sadly.
It's not wrong. It's literally us, but tactically lethal, older, and much more conventionally attractive.
Well, on your end at least.
And yours.
No. No.
Let's let's agree to meet in the middle and say you are less attractive than John Berthnell.
All right, let's get back to the topic. We're
Let's get
currently
back to the topic.
losing
Yes,
our viewers.
the Great Crusade grinds to a screeching halt. Now, it's not just because chaos begins infecting the legions. No, 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 no. Some Astartes begin to do some basic calculus. Hang on. The Great Crusade is coming to a close. That means we won't need to conquer anymore. What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to the Astartes? Glances over at Mount Ararat. Concern.
Hmm.
Is the Emperor going to. No, 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 no. The Emperor would never get rid of his noble, loyal followers. Right, First Legion? First Legion.
Nah.
Yeah, he would never
Never.
kicks ordnance reports under the rug. Never would happen. So it's not just a case of it's not just a case of chaos infecting the legions. Every legion whether it be the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 12th, the 13th, the 19th, all of them had legitimate concerns of what's going to happen to us. Then there are the spicier little conflicts. The Terranborn versus the ones from the Primarch's homeworlds, for instance. Like major divides within the Dark Angels, well, or the fuck. Oh, I'm trying to sneeze. No, I was trying to sneeze, and then I stopped trying to sneeze, and then I tried to sneeze, and then I stopped trying to sneeze. That was funny. Like the Dark Angels or the Emperor's Children, where the Terranborns had a different sort of pedigree to them. They had a very different nature. And then the ones from Caliban and Phoenicia, I believe, was Fulgrim's homeworld, if I remember correctly. They acted very differently and handled things very, very differently. And even some of the older Marines began to act differently when exposed to their Primarch. A very, very solid example of this was the division within the 12th Legion, within the World Eaters. On the world of Gehenna, they had the opportunity to either manufacture the Butcher's Nails or to get rid of them from their Primarch, to save him from the pain of the nails. And there was a legitimate split between the Legion. The old guard, who wanted to get rid of the nails, who wanted to free their Primarch of the pain. But then there were the ones who were so attached to Angron and wanted his affection, wanted his attention, wanted his fatherly love, that they slaughtered their brothers and forced the nails into their own skulls so that they could be alike to him and earn his respect and his love. Every single legion had a conflict kind of like this to an extent.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. No worries. I'll just hop into the chat. Always Gumshoe. I never understood how wide was the Old Age Empire of the Dark Age. I mean, most of the tech of the Imperium seems to be patchwork relics of the Old Age. Did the Warp Storm break Old Age tech? Some of it did. And then other bits was just, it was tens of thousands of years of just nothing being maintained, of people losing their knowledge. Think about it this way. Think about all the specialized components necessary to maintain a car. Think of the specialized skill set to maintain a car and to manufacture all of the components necessary. That's a car. A car is considerably simpler than a particle collider or a Dyson sphere or a starship, even. So, if you apply that on a scale of, hey, this is a super specialized piece of equipment that requires very specialized manufactured components that might not even be
Right.
made on the planet of the thing in question, and then you just don't maintain it for hundreds of years, thousands of years, it's going to break down. And then if people just, and if much of this is, supercomputers or power plants powering computers, and all the knowledge is stored on those, you'll probably never recover the knowledge to rebuild that thing. And there are many instances in our own history of, hey, we had this piece of tech and it was lost. There was, for instance, Roman concrete. It is objectively superior to basically any building component that we have in modern day. We can't recreate it. Um, the Byzantine nefta, for instance, basically medieval napalm. Again, something that was super effective. I think it was I think it burned considerably hotter than modern day napalm, and we can't recreate it. We don't know how to. That knowledge is gone. So I hope that kind of helps explain your question, Gunshoe. Yanu?
I'm just saying I'm back, and Hendrik, I I don't have one, and I'm pretty sure Shadow does not have one.
Yes, I do not have one. Yeah. Now, if you hold an AK-47 to my face, that might create a very, very, very different response out of a survival
No, no,
reflex.
no. I still don't have one.
The only way to refute a moral nihilist, put a gun in their face. Dr. Doom, have you heard the fan creation lore Warhammer 50k? It's the unofficial semi-conclusion of how it all ends, and it's ugly too. In my opinion, Warhammer 50k made Warhammer 40k look like child's play. Hmm. I think I've heard bits and pieces of it over the years. I've never actually sat down and consumed it, though. That's probably something I'll look into. Hendrik, is it
Um,
true what they say about Sergals?
What do they say? I'm curious. I just searched up what a circle is. I'm curious and not curious at the same time.
Is it something? Is it something I should put on my computer?
I mean, you definitely have worse stuff on your computer.
All right, let me see. What the fuck is a circle? Oh, okay. It's a kind of furry. I don't like where this is going.
It looks like it for me. It looks like a mix of a scaly and a furry.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I was expecting something horrible. What was the
No,
question? Is it true what they say about
is it
circles?
true what they say?
I don't know
Based
what
off
they
of
say about
neither of us knowing
circles.
what it was, I'm guessing no.
I
Or
don't know what a
yes,
circle is.
yeah.
I mean, like, it's not the
Back to
worst
the
furry. It's not the worst furry design I've seen, but also like, yeah, no, I got some friends on Twitter I'm gonna
back
have
to
to
the topic.
abuse. Back to the topic at hand. Yes, the great the Horus Heresy, and then there were the legions that had every frickin' reason to hate the Emperor. That had every reason to want to lay the Emperor low. That just like did not like the Emperor. That or they did not like other legions. They were very petulant little bastards and jealous of their betters. Iron Warriors, Night Lords. Oh, sorry about that. I can feel Noob breaking into my room right now. I can feel the violence about to be affected on me.
No, we're not violent. We're
Allegedly.
never violent. Don't
Sir,
you
you
pull
have
that
Darth
allegedly.
Vader. Oh, wait, no, that's not Darth Vader. Who is that? Is that Revan?
Nope, it's random ass Sith.
It's a random Sith. Yes, you have a random Sith. I have a World Eater. Apparently, Hendrik loves our circles. Again, we did not know what a circle is. Yay.
We have circles. What?
Apparently we have circles? Question mark.
Okay. Back
I mean,
to the. All right,
yes. So
let's continue.
The Horus Heresy breaks out. It was, set up primarily by the works of Lorgar. After the Emperor, the actual events are significantly more complicated than this, but I want you to imagine a puppy continually peeing on the carpet, and you keep going, no, 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 and the puppy refuses to stop peeing on the carpet. So you do the logical thing, you grab it by its head, you shove its nose in the piss, and you repeatedly scream no into its ear until it gets the damn message. Lorgar is the puppy that is so retarded it took no, don't pee on the carpet, and thought that meant diarrhea on the bed. When the Emperor punished him for spreading religion and faith in the direct opposition of the imperial truth, he decided to start infecting the different legions for the purposes of chaos with these different lodges, which were designed to spread ideas, thoughts, and dissent throughout the legions, to capitalize on pre existing issues, and to generate strife within the legions, which could be cultivated and utilized in a revolution.
Mm,
Certain Primarchs were very open to the idea of revolution. Angron, I mean, if you understand Angron's thought process, you knew that he was eventually going to try to take the Emperor's head. You knew for like if you've read Slave of New Syria and Betrayer, you understand why Angron went rogue. He didn't need chaos to go rogue. He didn't need Lorgar whispering in his ear. He just needed a clean fucking shot at the Emperor and he would have taken it. Kurz was batshit crazy and felt like he needed to. Perturabo was jealous of Dorn and saw this as an opportunity to abuse him. Alfarius, I, I legitimately could not tell you what Alfarius was doing. That man is like the CIA. Like he goes bar to bar with the CIA on lying. Okay,
I think he's better than the CIA online.
like the CIA goes, yeah, we found the spirit
I think
world.
he's the I would say he's a little better than the Black Ops that the CIA doesn't know about that the CIA is funding.
Yeah. No, the CIA is like, yeah, no, we found the spirit world allegedly. Alfarius goes, yeah, well, the moon doesn't exist, and you believe him. Yes, I stole a Russian Badger bit. Fuck you. But then there were some that required a little bit more convincing. Fulgrim, for instance, needed to get possessed by a demonic sword. Horus needed to be stabbed with a chaos tainted weapon, shoved in a box for several times, a long time, wherein the chaos gods got into his head and psychologically abused him, gaslit him, destroyed himself.
Once or twice,
Once or
allegedly.
twice. Allegedly. Categorically. He's the Mossad,
Indubitably.
lol. Yeah, I mean, okay, is Doctor Doom wrong? Like, okay, let's be real. The Alpha Legion were the fuckers who went to the Alpha Legion are the ones who are the only formation of Space Marines who are still Legion strength. They went to a planet, they fucked with its climate restoration system so it would rain snakes. So they could show up as just random Astartes to help save them from the raining snakes. So they could infiltrate the planet. Only so when the actual Legion shows up, they could take their mask off and go, surprise, we're the Alpha Legion, and then blow up the planet. Like the Alpha Legion are just Mossad with a snake theme. Ironically, they're just silly little guys. In any event,
Yeah.
with all what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with all of the pieces in place, Horus, with the loyalists that he had, or well, I guess the insurrectionists, scattered the forces that would be loyal to the Imperium to the winds. He placed loyal servants onto different worlds who would rebel at his beck and at his call. He positioned his own questionable elements at the front of the battle line, and then promptly stabbed them in the back at Istvan III. So the Horus Heresy began with the Loyalist forces scattered across the galaxy, and the heretical forces, of which some of them hadn't even declared themselves at the time, concentrated in a few key locations around primary forge worlds, around resource rich sectors, at key choke points of the galaxy. Anything to say, Noob?
No, not really. It's just this is where I'm more knowledgeable in the areas.
Yes,
So
yes. And then, well, I mean, we all know how the Horsey goes. Or the Horsey goes, the Heresy goes. The legions rip each other apart. The Titan legions clash. The skies are alight with void fire as warships fall to planets. The Imperium Secundus is called, or no, the Imperium. Is it Secundus or Nihilus? It's one of the two. It's either Secundus or Nihilus. One of them is the Heresy Gilliman's Empire, and then there's the one that's the 40k Gilliman's Empire, and I always get the two mixed up. That is called. The siege on Terra occurs, and eventually, through sheer grit, determination, and a little bit of Alpha Legion backstabbery, the heretics are defeated, but at great cost. Legions are sundered, sectors burn. The Emperor is now a carrion sitting on a golden throne, and Primarchs are dead. Primarchs are traitors. Primarchs are demons. And
Primarchs
this,
don't exist.
yes. And this segues into the topic of the stream, the core idea, what we're going to be talking about. What is the Imperium of Man, really? Now, this is the part where we may end up losing some people. There's a running talking point about the Imperium of Man. Well, two of them that are mutually connected but aren't intrinsically linked. The first is that the Imperium are the villains of 40k. This is not an accurate opinion. For what Blue Lantern mentioned earlier about how they are the light in the darkness against an evil galaxy. Yeah, no, the Imperium aren't evil. They do evil things, but they are not evil. They are by for humanity they are good. For the Tau they're evil, and the Tau are good, but for humanity the Imperium is good and the Tau aren't evil. The second point, which is the easier to debunk point is the claim of the Imperium being fascist. This is where we're going to lose everyone, noob. This is where all the likes are going to become dislikes. Ugh.
Hmm.
See, look, don't let me explain before we get in. Am I saying that the Imperium is some bastion of freedom, liberty, and democracy? That it's a great place? That it's a place I would want to live in? No, no, absolutely not. There's a reason why I like Gene Stealer Cult, and there's a reason why Noob likes Chaos. The Imperium, the Imperium is not the Systems Alliance. It is not the Star Trek Federation. It is not the Galactic Republic. It is a shitty place to live because it's in a shitty galaxy. Anything to dispute, Noob?
No, not really. It's all been right or factual.
Okay. So which one do you want to tackle first? The idea of the Imperium being evil or the fascist angle? Which one would you want to approach?
I think we should put them on a cliffhanger. I'm joking. Let's do fascism. Fascism.
Okay. So the first thing when discussing a topic, yeah. Thank you, Hendrik. Thank you, man. That's very kind of you. That's very, very kind of you. Um, so when discussing fascism, something a lot of people don't ever really do is pause and go, well, what is fascism? And I think that's like super integral. Because if you and I are having a conversation about something, like let's say, for example, you and I are talking about sandwiches, and I think a sandwich needs to be a piece of bread with something in between. And you think that a
It's like
piece,
a hot
that
dog.
it, and then you, well, no, I'm thinking, I mean, individually, um,
Mm,
two individual breads. And then you go, well, it doesn't need to be an individual piece. It could just be as long as there's something in between bread, whether or not there's a separation, it's still a sandwich. So I could be like, "Hey, what are you eating?" And you say it's a sandwich, and you're holding a hot dog, and I'm like, "No, that's not a sandwich." We have fundamentally different definitions, so we're not even discussing the same thing. So when it comes to discussing is the Imperium fascist, we need to define things first. So what is fascism? Well, I'm not going to use the Mussolini definition because, well, he's the dad. Like, he's the daddy of fascism. That's going to, like, it's like saying I'm going to use the Marxist definition of Marxism. Like, he's going to be a biased participant. I'm
yeah.
not going to use the Umberto Eco definition because, by that definition, the Native Americans are fascist. And, I wouldn't call a people that would just kind of fuck off if they didn't like the leadership and form their own new tribe as fascist. Apparently Hendrik
I
is
mean,
fascist.
Kendrick?
Hendrik is apparently fascist. He said I'm fascist. Hmm.
Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah. Well, so okay, so Doctor Doom thinks they are fascist. See, I would agree that they are hyper authoritarian. I would agree that they are hyper nationalistic, and I would agree that they're hyper militaristic. I would not agree that they are fascist, with the fact that fascism requires a super tight um, level of centralization. Under fascism, the ultimate authority is the state. There is a singular entity of power. There are within that power block various actors, like there's the intelligence agency, there's the army, there's the requisitions corps, there's the scientists, etc. But it's all within the same general body. The Imperium is not. The Imperium is not fascist because it is not a singular state. You have the ecclesiarchy, you have the adeptus mechanicus, you have the administratum, you have the inquisition, you have the imperial navy, you have the imperial army, you have the novus nobilitae, you have the rogue traders. And then if you, depending on where you are, sector governors could wield so much power that they are effectively independent. Or there could be places that are legally autonomous, like the warders chapters back in Badab, where they were effectively their own independent nation state, merely providing extracted resources to the actual vassal of the Imperium, being not the Calixtus sector, the Carthago sector. Excuse me. And that's honestly where I think the biggest disconnect is the fact that the Imperium is not a single centralized authority, nor could it be a single centralized authority. It's more alike to the Holy Roman Empire, where travel is significantly more limited, where communication is significantly more limited, and the level of fortification and the expenditure for raising an army are so severe that you can never have true dominance over every single actor within your bounds without some level of fealty or loyalty.
Oh my gosh, I just had the nastiest sneeze ever.
Good thing you didn't have the mic on. Yeah. And by the way, if you're in
Turned
the
off.
chat and you disagree, like feel free to toss your thoughts in. That's kind of the point of brothers chatting, just to kind of have like a little chat. Yeah. New, what is your thought on that? Because I've been kind of dominating the conversation the last what 20 minutes,
Well,
30.
I mean, you are the one that is teaching, so I'm just here to ask questions. I don't really have any questions right now because I kind of know it, but you're just answering. If I do have a question, you're basically just answering. So,
Yeah. Um. So Doctor Doom, fascist just means the government and private sector work together, right? Even with the decentralization, the governors of hive cities still work with private sectors. Yes. So that's another factor. Different worlds function very differently. So, sure, there are some where the state on a hive world has total dominance over the economy. But then there are others, like Necromunda, where the various actors are completely independent. I don't remember their names because I've only read one Necromunda book. But you do have the basically the guild that manages electricity is completely independent from the power structure of the leadership of Necromunda Prime via the primary Hive City. Same thing with the Promethean Guild. The Promethean Guild operates on its own initiative. Could the governor of Necromunda send his enforcers into their homes and start bashing skulls in? Absolutely. But that's any state apparatus. The United States government has the martial power to just send people with guns into any business they want and tell them how to do things. But they don't, because that would not end well. There's no systemic power within the Imperium to just walk. Okay, the Inquisition is separate. The Inquisition aside, there is no systemic power to walk into a business or a planet and just start changing things. Now, if you fail to uphold your end of the contract, such as, hey, you are a world under the protection of the administratum, or you're a world under the protection of the ecclesiarchy. We will provide resources and troops to defend you in exchange for you providing these resources. If you do not provide those resources, either we will stop defending you or we will take what we are owed by force. Yeah, it seems like it's making sense, Doctor Doom. Yeah, yeah, and see, this is why the definitions matter, and this is why clarifying information matters because, like, I think we had the same general idea in our head of what the Imperium is, but we had different words for it, and that's why this conversation is good to have. Yeah, thanks for engaging, man. Legitimately. Noob, seeing that you're a that your degree is going to be in World War II studies. Do you have anything you want to add?
two studies.
Yeah, aren't you doing history, World War II history?
Oh, I was like two studies. The fuck you mean by that?
Oh, my
Um,
mic might have cut
well,
out.
my specific isn't World War II histories. It's like wars or like peace times and like reasons for the conflicts. So it's not specifically World War II.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. I guess we haven't had like a proper discussion about what you were studying. My bad.
Yeah, you're good. It's called
Okay.
Peace and Justice. That's a specific thing for my university. So
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that kind of addresses the fascism angle a little bit. Unless someone in the chat brings something else up, but I think that is more or less the main point. The level of decentralization, the fact that you have the different actors. Now, if the Emperor had finished his Webway project, there would be an argument to be made. because there would be a greater level of centralization and there would be a greater ability to manage the Imperium, and the Emperor absolutely would be a control freak enough to try and make a fascistic state. Absolutely. Whether or not he would maintain a fascistic state after enlightening humanity, we really don't know. Like, we don't know what his ultimate ends were aside from uplifting humanity beyond where they were. But, that it's good that we will never know. On to the point about the Imperium being evil. I believe it was it Doom or who was it? There was someone who brought up I think it was Doom. Yeah, Doom. Oh, one sec. Yeah, sorry about that. It was Doom. Yeah, Doom. Thank you for being very active in the chat, man. You're helping this conversation move a lot better than if you weren't here. Doom. With some issues, where you stand on the matter directly depends on where you sit. Good and evil sometimes is just a perspective. Absolutely. A lion, for instance, a lion hunting a gazelle. The lion eating the gazelle is a good thing. It is getting sustenance. It is getting food. It is able to feed its children. To the baby gazelle whose mother just died, a monster just ate its mother. That is an evil act. So there absolutely is a level of perspective. For the Chaos Gods, humanity stopping them from doing what they want to do is evil because we are restricting their freedom to act. But in turn, to humanity, the Chaos Gods turning people into flesh puppets is evil. I shouldn't have to explain why that's evil.
Why is it evil?
Are you being intentionally dense?
No, yes. I was making a joke.
I know you are. But yes. So from that angle, hmm. In the context of 40K, where there is no supreme authority that is able to determine morality, that is able to go, this is the way things are, this is the way things need to be. I have a gun, you do not. So this is what's good and this is what's evil. In the case of 40K, it is absolutely might makes right. It is absolutely a case of whoever's got the biggest gun is the one that determines morality. So in the context of 40K, where does that place the Imperium? Well, I mean,
That would place them in the gray zone.
well, so it depends. What is the point of the Imperium? So first of all, chat, I am going to actually, how about this, noob? You run your line of logic because I've been talking too much. You run your line of logic, and then I'll run mine after yours.
On the wait, what? I'm so confused. I'm running my line of logic on the
Imp-
basically
on the
why the
Imperium.
Imperium. Huh? You cut out.
Sorry. Do you think the Imperium is good, evil, or neutral?
Gray zone.
Gray zone. Okay, so neutral.
I feel like
Why?
it's like everything in it's like there's goods and bads of everything, but the problem is, especially with the Horus Heresy happening, people took control in ways that didn't make it look where it was 100% evil, but also not good. There's good intentions, but evils. It's like every evil's in everything. But the problem is, there's more evil, especially after the Horus Heresy in the Imperium, than there was afterwards. And then people got greedy with power. So I'd say gray zone.
Gray zone. So very much the Stannis Baratheon or Dinobot perspective of no good act washes out the bad, no bad the good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it definitely does. Doom is absolutely correct in the perspective thing, and you are absolutely correct in the fact that there is a lot of bad things done by the Imperium. However, I do pause from my line of logic. I ask, okay, as a human being, what would I say is a good goal for humanity? What would be a good thing for humanity to do? To thrive, to prosper, to continue to exist. Okay. Which faction in 40k is trying to allow humanity to thrive and exist? Really, there's no thriving in the 40k galaxy. There is existing. There is surviving. Which faction in 40k will do the best for the continuance of humanity? That would be the Imperium. The Imperium is the only force in the galaxy actively fighting to maintain humanity's existence. If humanity exists, maybe one day we'll get back to thriving. It is a moral good for the continuation of humanity from the perspective of a human. Now, if you're a moral nihilist who says, well, maybe we don't deserve to exist, there's a commissar over there for you. So that's where I kind of approach the whole good evil. The Imperium is good from the perspective of humans because humans want to
Well,
survive.
also
Humans want to
depends on
continue
which
to live.
human.
What's up?
It also depends on which human. Like a cultist isn't gonna think the Imperium's good.
I mean, well, so in the case of the cultists are absolutely evil because they place their own personal pleasure in the name of humanity. Like they would sacrifice 1,000 humans for their own personal ambitions and goals. Now, the same thing could be said of the leadership of the Imperium. And sorry about that, chat. Um, the Imperium has bad leadership, but that doesn't make the Imperium bad. It means that there are people within the Imperium that have done bad things. Does the fact that does the fact that the Galactic Empire, for instance, has who's a good person in the Galactic Empire? Okay, let, fictional character. Let's say, for example, Disney releases a show and we meet some Imperial officer who pulls some strings and gets some medical supplies for a bunch of starving civilians, right? Does the action of this person make the Empire a good thing? No. Does the fact that there are thousands of men like this in the Empire, does that make it a good thing? No. What makes the Empire evil is the point of the Empire. The point of the Empire in Star Wars is to oppress the galaxy under the boot of Emperor Palpatine. What is the point of the Imperium? The Imperium is to preserve humanity. Even the biggest, uh, even the individuals who have the greatest hatred of the Imperium, like the Soul Drinkers, like various Lord Militants, have to be honest and go. And when I say various Lord Militants, I mean the men who have spent hundreds of years throwing human lives into the meat grinder and watching them die for what looks like nothing, have to admit that what's happening is the preservation of humanity. Now, they might argue it is also the enslavement of humanity to the bureaucracy of the Imperium, and there is absolutely that argument to be made. But then, what is the alternative for the survival of humanity in the context of the 41st millennium? So let's hop into the Noob. You want to read off the chat? Because I've been talking a bit more. I think Noob is being addressed by one of the authorities, so I will take care of this. Um, Doctor. This dude named Z. Sorry, I think I skipped some people. Stark Mad. There are no good guys. Bro said that one Night Lord in that one book. Talos in the Night Lords trilogy. I mean, that's a Night Lord. They are. My friend Morzan is gonna kill me, but the Night Lords are questionable in their opinions on morality. They come from Nostromo. Nostromo is not a beacon of moral discussion, in my humble opinion. This dude named Z. I'm so glad this came up in my recommended. I'm glad to have provided. I'm glad to have helped, and I'm assuming Noob would be the same way if he was here to speak. Rodri Soccer 7. Nurgle is good to me. Of the Chaos Gods, Nurgle is one of the more benign. He is still,
Sorry about that.
a Chaos God. No, you're good, man. Nurgle is still a Chaos God, but he is still one of the more benign ones. Um, Hendrik, hashtag me too. I wasn't even a sub. I'm glad to have provided, and Noob, are you glad to have provided some people with some good chats?
Yes, I am glad that guys came here. We had 11. Happy you guys are here. But it's kind of crazy how at one point we had, I think it was 134, 135 people.
No, so that was
Based
total
off-
views. I think the highest we've gotten to was like
No,
80.
no, there was a 135 at one point.
There was a 135 at one point. Holy crap.
135 at one point, and I like thank y'all for just tuning in. It's late for some people. Like it's bad. It's late for us, but I'm glad that y'all showed up, and this is in your recommendation. There's actually Shadow does go in on his channel into some other things if you want to go check that out. But we could also he'll we can put that when he cuts this up into parts. If you just come back and look in the description, we'll put some recommendations in the descriptions or chats.
Yes. Yes. Was that in response to this dude named Z?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yeah. I've already made some. The Pontius is absolutely one of the best recommendations I can give. The guy is an absolute like a deep end diver, and his sense of humor is freaking phenomenal. I can also, even though he's stopping his Warhammer content due to personal reasons, which he explains in his most recent video, Yanovich, also a very solid individual to go check out. And then I'm gonna bring up an evil name to most people. I'm gonna bring up a name that'll probably scare a few of you. Arch, the best source of lore. His politics, whether you love him or you hate him, Arch is freaking the gold standard for lore content. If you can stomach the way he rolls his R's, if you can love the art and while hating the artist, go check out Arch. And then there's always reading. I cannot understate how amazing the Warhammer books are. The Warhammer books, like Warhammer novels, I'm currently reading Redemption Core by Rob Sanders. Phenomenal. I've got a pile of books. I've even got The Beast Arises. Even though they're not amazing, you can't go wrong with a good 40k book. Absolutely cannot go wrong with a good 40k book. Half price books. Swing by one every once in a while. Check the science fiction setting. You might be able to pick up something like an absolute gem for $10. Doctor Doom. Rather good or evil without the Imperium, humanity starts going extinct. Just listen to Warhammer 50k. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you'll find out just how grim can get. Without the Imperium, humanity gets wiped out. So if you believe humanity deserves to live, it is a good. That is, and most evil actions taken in the name of good. Oh damn, dude, we got some subs. Hold on. Rodri Soccer 7, thank you for the sub. And then Shrapnel Typhoon, thank you for the sub. And I think some other people mentioned they had subbed. Hendrick had subbed, but it didn't pop up in the little notification bar I've got. But thank you so much for, yeah, dude. I think the sub increase. I think we were at 118, and now or 218, and now we're at 225.
Heck
So
yeah.
freaking,
Thank
you
y'all.
guys, you guys are phenomenal. Love, like you guys are freaking great. Like chat, I've said this on other channels that I hop onto. Chat is chat. Chat is amazing. I'll give you guys shit. I'll give chat shit sometimes, but ultimately, chat is chat. We exist to entertain chat. Um, Hendrik. My mom always said Warhammer was too violent when I was growing up. Now she's dead, and it's fuck you. I'll spend the money on what I like. Sorry to hear about your mother, man. That yeah, that's sad to hear, but yeah, damn. I want to be that's you want the recommendations? Super into Necrons and the Salamanders. Yeah, well, Necrons have gotten a lot of really good books recently, and then the Badab War has some pretty good stuff for Salamanders. Noob, you want to pick up comments after Hendrix? I want to be taken deep.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I was looking at
Or
something else someone said.
no worries.
Um, that's okay, Hendrik.
All
Thank
right,
you for the sub, Tyler. That's appreciated.
Tyler Runvins. Thank you, Cart. Thank you, Burner.
Well, now you have one. Sh sharp. I'm not good.
Shrapnel Typhoon.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long day. That's my fault.
No, you're
Thank
good,
you
man.
for saying that. Um, Arch is a very interesting guy, just in general. I don't really listen to Arch, but as he said, his lore is good. If you want to go listen to his lore, I go listen to his lore. But Arch is
Yes.
also very interesting, to say the
Yes.
least.
He does keep so his lore channel is strictly the lore. If you want to jump into a rabbit hole, you could check out his pop culture channel. But if you just want the lore, if you just want the 40k lore, stick to his stick. I will say, unless you want to take a deep dive into some really weird shit, stay on the lore channel.
Sadly, there are no lore accurate cat girls yet. It's my fault. That might be on a later discussion.
Possibly. Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly toss in for the squad. I'm gonna toss in some links. Here is the Pontius. This is the guy I've most recently discovered. Solid channel. He takes weeks to months to make a video, but each one of them is amazing. Um, then there is Yanovich, who he covers a lot of the similar stuff to Arch and Pontius, but he presents it in a lot more of a digestible way. I think you would really like the way Yanovich does his lore, noob. And then there is the man himself. There is James Workshop. There is King Arch. It's just Arch, Tyler Robbins. It's just Arch. It used to be Arch Warhammer, but then Games Workshop decided to throw a hissy fit. Yes, I am. And I'm also going to drop what I think is the best Bat Reps channel on YouTube, Winners SEO. He does a sprinkling of lore and a sprinkling of awesome stuff, of awesome just content. Yeah, noob, you want to continue with the reading the chats? And I think the authorities have dragged noob away again. All right. Uh, yes. No idea who you guys are. Tyler Robbins. Thank you kindly. Oh yeah, I already read that. Oh, that was already read. Proper pros in here, lad. The algorithm is working tonight. It is algorithming tonight. Yeah, no, I was expecting 3 or 4 people in the chat, and then I'd break this up into YouTube videos. But no, you guys are freaking killing it tonight. You guys are freaking awesome. Arch. Yeah, he I think off timeline there may be some people older than him, but he's the one who really set the mold for what a Warhammer channel is supposed to be. Or what a lore channel in general is supposed to be. A lot of the guys, like I believe Luton, I believe Luton followed Arch, but Lore Master Sotek, Wes Hammer, Major Kill, all of them followed in Arch's footsteps, and if you like those guys, you like those guys, cool. All of them are second to him. They're third-rate duelists with fourth-rate decks compared to Arch. His level of focus, autism, and lore knowledge is just unsurpassable. Shrapnel Typhoon, I've arrived because this place showed up on here and I need another 40k channel. Ooh woo. This is not a dedicated 40k channel, but I do talk about 40k. I do like 40k. I think I've got a couple of 40k games in live streams. But yeah, Stark Mad. Horus Rising is still a good book. It is a phenomenal book. It is a very good book. The Badad. The Badab War. The Badab War. It was the Salamanders did play a pretty big role in it. It's a pretty big combat conflict that is covered by the Pontius in 5 videos and Arch in like 40. Yeah, Tyler, there you go. I usually do L and K. Shrapnel, I'm not familiar with L and K. And then, any tips for building minis? I'm scared I'll mess up the glue. I'm also not the best with painting. On the minis, I mean, when you first start doing it, I would recommend getting some of the push fits. Get some of like the push fit minis that are just designed that you push them together, and then on the other ones, just you just take it slow. Dry fit, so basically just like kind of make sure that the pieces are supposed to go together, and even when you do glue them together, if you're using the Citadel glue, when you stick them together like that, it's going to you'll have time to kind of mold some stuff. You can do some pretty cool posing if you do it that way. Tyler Robbins. Well, happy the chat got the algorithm to pop you guys up for me. There is cray amounts of lore to catch up on. Yes, yes, there is so much 40k lore. Um, yeah, no. At one point, I think we will be discussing what Space Marines are, as well as the Imperial Guard, at some point. Not this stream, but in future streams, to kind of just chat about that. And then Patrick Byrne, thank you kindly. He's you are Patrick Byrne is suggesting Luton and Arbiter Ian. I have never heard of Arbiter Ian. I will toss, and I've heard of Luton. I will toss those links into the chat. All right, yeah, no, Luton. Um, Luton is one of those guys where I know who he is. I've just never sat down and watched him, but I know he's decent. I know he's a pretty decent. A lot of people recommend him. And then Arbiter Ian. Arbiter Ian. No, that's M. Arbiter Ian.
If you're a
Okay. Oh, so this so this looks kind of correct me if I'm wrong. He seems kind of like a mix of Valrak and who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Like Valrak, who just mostly focuses on the current updates and stuff. But judging by like the videos I'm looking at, he also seems to dive into the lore of each of them. I don't know who the other guy I'm thinking of. But yeah, no, this guy looks pretty solid. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation, Bjorn. I'll make sure to check him out. All right, and then Bjorn being gotcha. And then you've got Starkmat. What really got me into 40k lore was watching If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device. That is a lot of fans. That is a lot of people. Tyler Robbins. So any books you'd recommend for a 10-year-old? I bought my nephew a starter kit and paint. Hope he likes 40k. For a 10-year-old. 40k is one of those settings where I think it does. There are books where I'm like, yeah, no, this does not. A child should not be reading this. Like Redemption Core, absolutely not for a child. Um, the Dark Angels Omnibus, and I think Shadowbreaker. Those were the first two books I first read, and I believe off memory, it's been years since I've sat down and read them, and I read them in high school. I don't remember. I mean, I grew up on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So that's like the level of violence that I'm thinking for is appropriate for a 10-year-old. Both of them, I think, can be imagined on that level, but I would say read them first and then clear it with the parents of the child in question before you like hand them the books. Um and then let me run over to my shelf quickly and see if there's anything else I've got that like just immediately jumps to as, hey, this is something good for kids. Still a lot of my books are boxed up right now, so I can't get to them easily. But yeah, Dark Angels Omnibus, Shadowbreaker are two that I would definitely heavily recommend. And then I would just say, like, pick up what looks interesting to you, give it a read, and if you think that there's nothing too gory, too sexual, too violent, after confirming with his kid with his parents, um, then yeah, I would say that the Horus Heresy is definitely cerebrally a little bit too much for a 10-year-old, and then also the graphic violence at times, especially with the demons involved. Oh, anytime that like demons, any stories involving the demons are probably not something suitable for children. Probably try to limit to any books involving fighting Tau or orcs, I would say would definitely be solid recommendation. Yeah, Patrick Byrne giving advice. Dude named Z, they sell push fit minis. No, I had no idea. Yeah, they're I'm blanking on the like just the last time I checked, because I know they have like the push fit basic Primaris Marines. Games Workshop. Um, yeah, see, this is also where I'm like, yeah, I do kind of miss the old metal models to an extent because those were so much better in the fact that hey, you didn't actually need to um that like they came pre-assembled. Like you didn't need to push fit anything. Oh, so okay, it looks like they've gotten rid of a lot of the or did they? Because I remember a while ago there was a bunch of because so what I'm looking at right now is you've got the two that I was able to find quickly were the Infernus Marines and the Termagants and Ripper Swarms. I believe these are push fits, and you can just get these over on the actual page. Like if you walk into any Warhammer store, these would be small packs of like 3 dudes and probably some paints. And these are basically just like you push fit, you just glue them and then push fit them, and then they're good to go. Do 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 do. Who's your favorite Primarch? Oh, frickin' Angron. I love him. I love him. I want to like the lion. I don't like the lion. I love Angron. Angron, he speaks to me on a spiritual level. He speaks to me in ways that I cannot comprehend. And then I'll wait for Noob to get back, but I'm like 90% sure his favorite is Horus. Sweet, getting all the links to lore videos. These Black Library books are a tad pricey. Yes, that is why I heavily recommend. I heavily recommend half-priced books. That is definitely a place to go looking. And the internet, I'm not saying you should pull a Jack Sparrow, but yeah, Jack Sparrow, you can always find a port. You're welcome, bro, but Byrne is pronounced like burn. Okay, got you. Apologies, Patrick Byrne. Tyler Robbins, that's perfect. I actually bought him Dark Angels. Yes, Dark Angels, they're good. I've got a couple of the old resin minis sitting on my desk right now. Love them. I love my Sergeant Naaman model. I love my Dark Angels captain, my Dark Angels sergeant, painting up an old Rogue Trader mini as a Rogue Trader Dark Angel. I was painting 40K as a 10-year-old back in the 90s. Damn, I'm old. We grew up quick back then. Yeah. Um. Yeah. And I'm not saying and yeah. So I'm not saying 40K is absolutely not for 10-year-olds. I'm saying that there are certain stories that are not. Like for instance, do not give a 10-year-old a book involving Slanesh. Do not give a 10-year-old a book involving Drukhari. Do not give a 10-year-old involving a book that has the Demonculaba. Like just there are certain things that a child is not ready for. Wait until they're at least 13 before exposing them into those things. Uh, thanks for the heads up. I'm going to take it slow with the lore forum from Tyler Robbins. Yeah, absolutely. I would not be one of those people who says do not show children 40K because it's too dark and dangerous for them. However, there are certain parts that you should not throw them into the deep end with. There should absolutely be a delay. Oh, noob is am I gotcha. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna be wrapping up the stream. Right. Noob's got to go to bed, so we're gonna wrap up the stream with the last few comments. And yeah, this kind of oh, you back?
Hey guys, yeah, sorry about me being back for a bit and having to. It's really me trying to cut it early. I apologize. There's just I have to
No,
hop
you're good.
off and I
I
have to go
should.
deal with something real quick.
Yeah, no. If that needs to happen, just like vocalize it. If you've been waiting for me to see the Discord, I apologize. I'm just trying to catch up on the chat.
Yeah. No, I know
Yeah.
you were talking in the chat and I didn't want to disrupt it, so I sent it some
Okay,
things in
so
Discord.
I'm not gonna
But
see
we
that.
will once we plan this. I know once we plan this, we're gonna post something, maybe like a short on the YouTube channel for part two. Again, guys, apologize for cutting this early. I really had this planned to go till like cleared my night. I was down to go for the latest till midnight our time. So like another 2-3 hours. But something came up and I was gone for the last 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, no, you're good. I expected as much. I was trying. That's why I was really focused on the chat. But yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So like he said, very sorry about ending it, but you guys, freaking phenomenal people. Uh, oh, what do you? Yeah. So thank you guys for showing up. We will be getting more content soon. Those of you who did subscribe, thank you for subscribing. I know that we got at least 7 subscribers. It only said 3 of you did: Max the Reaper, Roger
Nope,
Soccer,
we got
Shrapnel Typhoon.
we're at 227 now.
227. Okay, so that's what, 9 subs.
9.
Hendrick absolutely did. Doctor Doom absolutely did. You guys are mentioning it in the chat. I think Shrapnel Typhoon is one of the guys that it did tell us he did. I believe Patrick Byrne did. Tyler Robbins did. I think this dude named Z did. A few of you. So there are some of you guys who aren't getting named as subs because the internet's dumb. It's not communicating that. But those of you guys who did, you are phenomenal. Those of you being active in the chat, you guys are phenomenal. Those of you viewers, you guys are solid. Even if you're not chatting, even if you're not talking, even if you're just lurking, you guys are great. We will probably continue the conversation about the Imperium, maybe segue a little bit into some of the apparatuses like the Ministratum, the Ministorum, the Militarum, those things. Or maybe we'll do something that Noob picks next week. If this is next week, don't know. We'll get back to you guys on that. Noob, you got anything else you want to say?
No, besides thank y'all so much. We honestly did not expect it to be like this. Um, but no, this is great and really appreciate all y'all doing this. Definitely check out Shadow's other content. It's similar to this besides the point of me basically being here talking about a little couple things and talking to the chat, but this is like very common going off stuff like this. And if you want to see some videos about one of our dogs, there's some videos about that in here. But besides that, this is basically how he is for all of his topics. So if you like this, hopefully like his other content, and we will post if we do keep this coming as a thing. We'll try to get a certain time in the week where we will start on time at this point, and we will end whenever we run out of something to talk about, and it's just random stuff. So, for example, it could be about basketball, baseball, or something where it's I'm mainly talking and Shadow's mainly listening, and we talk to the clients. I'm not clients, the comments. It's gonna be different each time. This is the only thing that will be changing periodically from what his channel is based off of, but we're gonna try to keep it centralized on his channel for the most part.
I mean, that requires my channel to be centralized in the first place. It's basically just I want to do something, I put it out there, and then sometimes it
Well,
sticks, sometimes it
it's like
doesn't.
it's like modern stuff, movies, and nerd stuff. Well,
Oh
not
yeah.
nerd stuff,
Oh yeah,
armor stuff.
absolutely. Just nerds. I mean, I'm a nerd. I like nerd stuff. Uh, and I will say that I'm a lot more professional and controlled in this than I have been in the past in other bits of videos and stuff like that. This channel is basically a kind of a documentary almost of me back when I was, fuck, I think I started posting here when I was 18 or 19, and now I'm 22. I've changed a lot in the 3 to 4 years that I've been doing stuff with this. So you will see a dramatic shift in content over the years. But like Noob said, thank you all very much for showing up. This is a lot bigger than we expected it to be. Y'all are amazing. Catch you guys next time. Have a good night.